Hello and welcome to Own It with Marisa Bludorn, Own It magazine and publishing. And we are taking center stage today and owning it with Triple Cover. She's a triple cover. She's on our Own It personal, professional, and business development cover this month. And she's also on our literacy, our Lit magazine cover, and that's literacy awareness. And we're going to be talking about the Lit magazine. We're going to be diving into why it's important for us to advocate and promote literacy in our communities, in our homes, and all over. We're publishing books, we're authors in books. It just makes sense. If we're publishing these things, we need for why it's important for us to read. One thing I know in this season, and as I'm transforming, we look at the world of digital technology and everything like that, but there's nothing like having a book in your hand and being able to write and journal and all of that good stuff. And so literacy is very, very important because knowledge is power, but knowledge applied is powerful. And books allow us the opportunity to escape or to educate ourselves or to ourselves, just living that fulfilling life. And as we are taking center stage with Dr. Stepanie Reid, who is the Clocking Your Creative Purpose author. And she's also written many of her own books. I believe she has a coloring book as well. All those things that help us feel fulfilling, to further affirm our value, our self-value, our purpose in life, and just gaining that clarity. And so welcome to your Healing Space, Stepanie Reid, taking center stage and owning it with me. Yes! I'm so excited for finally having the opportunity to just really dive in. We've had covers for the Literacy magazine, but having this opportunity to really, really dive in with you and to share my vision behind Lit, the magazine, what's its purpose. As I didn't plan this journey. I didn't plan on being a editor in chief for a magazine. I didn't plan on being books and getting them to the finish line. It was not a part of my plan. If you would have asked me what I was going to be doing, I would be all over speaking, which I am going to continue to do that, be all over speaking and just encouraging and, just encouraging and empowering individuals to really buck back the system and be who they are meant to be. That's my agenda, for them to take center stage and own it for their lives. However, God had a different plan. And that have to be we have to be fluid, we have to be flexible, we have to be open that if God is taking us on another journey, that there is a method to his madness. And one of the things for sure is I am an author. I've published many of my own books. If you are a true philosopher, then you are a writer. And if you are a writer, then you are an author. And when you're an author, especially you teach, right? So this is teaching and all that other stuff. And some people don't connect all the dots. They're not connecting them. They're looking at you. If you speak, you should be writing about what you speak, right? And then if you are one who's been empowered and you know how to do it and you know how to consistently show up for yourself, then you should also help and teach others how to do the same, especially when we're in such a world who have so many people who are lost. They're out of alignment with their life's assignment. And they need to know a way. And one of the things that bring us here with you today is that you have a program, you have the resources, the tools, the instruments that will help these individuals get in proper alignment with their life's assignment. So we're focusing on the literary part of your world. And so talk to us about, what's your heartbeat behind literacy, the importance of literacy, or does it even matter to you? Share with our audience your heartbeat for the Lit magazine and literacy in general.
Literacy is absolutely important to me because as a naturopath, I am an educator, so I educate you on how to take care of yourself, spirit, mind, and body. Most people are used to someone just saying, take this for 2 weeks. If it doesn't work, give me a call back. We'll do some tests. Well, a naturopath says you're a spirit, mind, and body, and we need to teach you how to take care of yourself. Listen to your body cues. Get in tune with yourself so you know the nuances of what your body's trying to tell you so you can take action. And so, from that perspective, I help women redefine wellness for them over 40. But the reason why literacy is important is I can tell you all day long what the aspect of naturopathy would bring to your awareness in terms of you being well. But unless you can read it in a book, unless I communicated it in a way that you can pick it up when you need additional information or you need a refresher, then I'm just a clashing symbol. I'm not saying much, right?
Mhm.
If you're a professional and you believe in what you are sharing with the world, then you must be accountable for what you say and write it down and put it in a book. Scripture says, write the vision and make it plain. If I want you to be clear on how you need to take care of yourself from a naturopathic perspective, then I had to write the book From Panic to Empowerment, how to stop pain and disease from taking over your life by connecting spirit, mind, and body. That is my mantra. That is how I help you get well. And I'm standing on it by writing that book.
Yes, that's awesome. It's funny because when I did my first anthology last year, um, I just could not do the anthology. All my books have learning sections in them. At the end of each chapter is reflect. Reflect, assess, address, and move forward. There's always some kind of learning and owning the learning the information that you just learned. There is always teaching. So last year when I did the anthology, I had them do an exercise at the end, something that's going to engage the reader, and then we did a journal. And ever since, it was just like, this just makes sense. And as you were talking, when you're in school, and so we equate school with formal education, right? Where you're going to elementary, middle school, high school, grad, whatever. But when you are doing self development, you still have to have a textbook. Still have the curriculum of how to. And then there's a test so that we know that learning has been transferred, right? So we need to know you know the knowledge. That's what the journaling part of it is, so that you can take what you just read and now put it in your own words so that it can validate that the understanding is there of the new information that was provided. And so it's like that's what literacy is all about. It's like, you know, and you speak, but you people are just gonna want to know afterwards, how do I still do it? You coach him, but then the coach has to go away because the coach has his own life. How do you still go back and know and are reminded of what the coach says based on what the coach put in their his or her curriculum, what you put in your curriculum in the books that you're telling and you're sharing with your clients, on how to do what you're telling them to do. It's so important. And then the other thing too about literacy is take notes. Stop writing. The way that you really gain a lot of knowledge is by writing what you've learned, right? Put it into your
Mm,
own words what you learned. So
mhm.
I always say, if I'm talking, because people are saying, Marisa, are you recording? No, I'm not recording that. Your record of what I just taught you should be in your own words so that you can learn that stuff and you can walk away and, God forbid, one day never need me. I want you to not always need me. You have you coach, you develop, you help people. Talk to us. Why is it important for people to have a coach? You work with women 40 plus, and unclocking and tapping into their creative purpose. Why do they need a coach to do that?
Well, let's take it back to literacy. We all have read some phenomenal books. Think and Grow Rich, Who Moved My Cheese, The Road Less Traveled, The Alchemist. We read those books because we want to do something. 48 Laws of Power, The Art of War. I can go on. The Celestine Prophecy. We read these books because we want to be able to move our consciousness in the trajectory of development when we do that self work. When we say we want to come higher, coaching is important because you can read all of those books, but unless somebody can bring the information down to your level where you can superimpose that new information and make it fit into your world, it's just good information. It makes you feel good for a few moments, and then what you start to have is a conglomeration of sound bites, and now you're confused because you don't know which one to choose. So
Right.
coaching is important because not only do I give you the book, the workbook, the coloring book, I teach you how to journal in a different way. You also have me to say, hey, the principle that you learned in chapter 6, paragraph 2 on page 54, this is how you apply it to yourself. And then you'll have those more, you can integrate the knowledge because the application of knowledge is powerful, but you have to understand how to apply it. And if there's no feedback from the author to clarify what you read, then you're just kind of like winging it. And so that's why we have bookshelves of all of these wonderful classics and books, and we still don't have change in our lives to the degree that it made a significant difference beyond our current suffering. They're bragging rights.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, I read that. What did you learn? Your life will tell on you what you are absorbing. And so, what I want to do in my aspect of literacy, I teach women how to redefine wellness for themselves, but I also give them the book, I give them the workbook, the coloring book, the journal, and I also give them me. So you can ask me, how do I apply that? What does it mean for me? When you get that level of clarity, then you are unstoppable. And that's what I mean by before. Asking for help is a power move. That's the difference between what you do normally and what you get with me. I help you power up. Stay in that power move and that empowerment perspective. And that's why my book is called Moving You from Panic to Empowerment. It's a power move. And I help you
Yeah,
every step of the way. That's the difference.
that is amazing. It's amazing. You in your brochure, you talk about why coaching is so important. And you articulated that when you said it's for deeper understanding of the original intent of the content, right? So that you're not guessing. You're not, just like you said, you're not doing guesswork. You get the truth behind the intent of the author when you have a coach that can help you along the way. You talk about faster results. You're not, just like you say, winging it, wasting time. You just say wasting time
Yeah,
because
wasting time.
when you don't know, you can't wing a cake. You got to follow the ingredients, or that cake is going to fall, right? You miss out on the eggs if you don't add a little mayonnaise. There's going to be missing moisture. There's missing. So you need all of those ingredients, and the only way that you know that is the originator of the recipe, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
originator of the recipe. You go from confusion to clarity. I love it. Accountability. And a lot of times when painful, uncomfortable, and awkward, we don't want accountability because a lot of times that's embarrassing because now you have to be transparent. It makes you very, very vulnerable when you have
Mhm,
to be. The quickest way to do that is just be okay with being uncomfortable.
mhm. Yeah.
That was the one thing that I learned to be okay with being uncomfortable. Don't allow embarrassing moments to embarrass you. Own them, that every somebody is going through this in the same moment that you're going through it, believe it or not, because there's a gazillion people in the world and through this earth that are on this earth. Um,
Yeah.
you also mentioned you don't waste time and money. Stop wasting your time and wasting your money. You talked about, I don't know if this was in our other interview or not, but trusting your instincts, right? And having discernment is very important too, so that you're in alignment with the right coach, right? So talk about how to identify. I know we're talking about literacy, but I want to also talk about you being the cover feature and all that you do, because you help women. You help women that are indecisive in their 40s, and just they're trying to figure things out. And in your 40s, depending on when you started having your kids or you didn't have your kids, when it's not necessarily to me midlife it crisis. It's more like midlife evaluation, midlife reflecting, like where am I and what can I do, what's within my reach, can I still salvage this life I had based on the decisions I made. And so you provide that service. And so I want to tap into how do people, how do they begin? How do they figure out if you're the right coach for them?
Mhm. One of the things that happens to women over 40 is we get into this revelation that all of a sudden life stops working the way we used to know it to work in every aspect of our lives, whether it be at work, whether it's with our children, whether it's our with our parents. We become our parents caregivers. We're trying to figure out if we still need to parent grown children. The world gets a little murky for us, and as a result of that, there becomes a lot of confusion. And I help women sort out the confusing aspects by helping them understand, number one, you don't know what you don't know, so you don't have to pretend that you know it all. That is the biggest pitfall, because you will dig yourself deeper. And then what happens is you go to your doctor and you're stressed out and you're uncomfortable and things are bumping in the night, and everybody wants to say, oh, that's just menopause. When somebody tells you that, that strips your power away, because that tells you then I have to suffer like this for another 10, 12 years. And I have to suffer through dealing with my grandkids or my grown children or my parents or the people at church that rack my nerves. You mean to tell me I just have to sit in this and stew? The answer to that is no. But if you don't know what you don't know, stop. It is a power move to ask for help. And so when you see me and I say, I'm here, book a strategy session with me so we can clear out this murky experience for you so you can move on. Take the initiative, right? Because there is something called imposter syndrome, and it racks us, it tears us apart. That's the mask, right? That's the mask. That's the hiding behind the makeup, that's hiding behind the hair, that's hiding behind the airs and hiding behind the degrees. That's the imposter syndrome, because when you get home and you take your heels off and your bunion is throbbing, when you pretend like you didn't have one, the rest of you fall apart as well. And you're like, my life is not what people think it is. But then here's the thing, you can't tell anybody because you're operating in an illusion with yourself and you're unauthentic with the world. So when you acknowledge that and say, okay, I need to make peace with all of the aspects of myself, I need to call somebody. Trust that that was your intuition giving you a nudge that you needed to do something different beyond what you've always done. That's when your intuitive self kicks in. Follow it. And then once you hear it, when you hear someone like me speaking, if your spirit is engaging in the conversation, that is your cue to act. Don't sit on it, act on it. That's how you move forward. And that's how you can live your best life after 40 without apology and without guilt. You've learned to start listening to your higher self that's going to guide you in the direction that you need to be in. That's how you do it.
Mm, mm. So, one of my biggest theories is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I love that
Mm-hmm.
theory. And the reason why I love that theory is because it's at the fourth level. So you go through the basics that you need. You need love, you need water, you need clothing, all that other stuff. But Maslow's argument is that at the fourth level of needs is you're going to go two ways. You're going to either do one or the other. You're going to either conform to your peers for love and affirmation, or you're going to self actualize, where you just say, they either love me, they don't, and you just go off and do your thing, right? Maslow's argument goes further than just bucking the system. He argues that it feels so good that you are compelled to go back and say, hey, you need to do what I just did and self actualize. So a lot of times, many people think that self-actualization is coming into a place of perfection. Maximizing all your potential. Argue different. I believe his argument was you become so in tune with who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly, and indifferent. And you're okay with it. That not that you're not going to stop growing and learning and evolving, but you are no longer susceptible or tied in or shackled to anyone else's thoughts, opinions, or anything like that. You are what are your thoughts about at Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
I think it has its merit in the scheme of people in general, but women specifically have an additional piece to that part. Our sense of self is tied to the receptivity of what we give. And so the more that we give of ourselves, and the feedback comes in positive, we're going to continue to nurture that, even to the point where when we need to stop. And that's the problem with women right now. We that need to belong, Maslow's need to belong, and that creates a guilt trip for us. We want to belong, but we want to do our own thing, but everybody's so used to us being in a certain way. I'm playing tug of war with saying yes to you and no to myself, and guilt for doing to my giving to myself, and me being resentful for not doing to myself. So it adds another dimension for women. And so what I do is I help women say, let's look at this from a scriptural perspective. There is a time and a season. There's a time for you to be a mother. There's a time for you to put that down, because there's a time for you to go back and self-actualize, because you were not able to do it when you were a young mother. You had to turn that aspect off, and you had to go right into giving and supporting and sharing and self-sacrificing and all that stuff that we do as mothers. But then the time closes out, and you can give yourself that permission to say, it's time for me to do me. Like it, lump it or not. I have to, I must, for my own survival, for my own sense of sanity. And that's where it needs to take. We have to say, I understand where I am as a mother, what my roles used to be, but God has given me a reprieve. And now I can do what Maslow said. Just say, bump it. You know what? I'm just going to go and live my best life. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not kind and we're not supportive, we're not caring. It's just we prioritize a little differently. That's the key. You prioritize a little differently. Absolutely, I'm going to come to Maryland and be with my daughter and my children and my grandson. But I have to do a few things before I get there. And so me getting there may not coincide with the time frame that you needed, but I'll get there and you will still be supported and happy, but I still will feel like I've done something for myself. And what was that? I wanted to go to the Janet Jackson concert while I was in Hawaii. I wanted to do my Bridgerton experience and dress up in my Regency gown. Those are the things that I wanted to go and make sure that I got this most beautiful warm brown tan that I could get before I came back into the cold. Those are the things that resonated with my soul. And then I did grandma mom stuff, and everybody was happy. I didn't feel like I stole from myself to give, right? Because you never get it back to the degree in which you give anyway.
No, no, no.
So you might as well give it to yourself first.
Yeah, yeah, you might as well. And it's so important because when you show up happy. And how many
Yes,
women are showing up bitter and indifferent
most of
because
them.
they did not take the time to really themselves and find their own place. Like I can remember like rescheduling something, and someone was like, "Oh my God, well you gotta have a life." You know what I mean? You gotta have a life so that if change comes, it's not so detrimental to you that you can shift. And you can still enjoy. And so, share with them as we close out. Share with our audience how they can connect with you. She is our May Lit Cover Girl, advocating for literacy and our and beyond. Share with them how they can work with you and they can get unclocked.
Well, you can get unclocked by just calling me, follow the ticker tape. And when you call me, all I'm going to do is schedule an appointment with you so you and I can have a conversation on Zoom that's going to last for an hour. Within that conversation, I'm going to listen to you. I want to hear your heart. I want to hear what's going on in your world. And then I'm going to flip all of that on its head so we can stop telling the story that's holding us down. I'm going to give you new insight, new action plan. So by the time that call is over, you have not been more empowered in 60 minutes than you probably have been in your entire life. That's what I can guarantee. That's what we're going to do to unclock you, to redefine what wellness and health and finances and love and all that good stuff means for you. You have to define it. The first half of your life you gave to everybody else. The second half absolutely belongs to you, but you have to take it and harness it without apology and guilt. And that's what you're going to get when we have that strategy session. So I dare you to call me. I double deep dare you, because I'm going to answer. And if I don't answer, I'm going to call you back.
And the numbers on the ticker tape, there's no excuse whatsoever. She gave it to you, 443-486-3866. Make sure you call her and tell her where you got your number on the Own It Magazine and Publishing live interview. So, people, we love you so very, very much. You take care, be blessed till next time. Dr. Reid, this has always been a pleasure, and you are such a treasure. So, we are
Thank
out.
you so much. Take care.